All right, so I am coming to the end of row 10. Just have a couple stitches left here, and then we're going to fasten off and do a color change. So that is it. And I'm going to do a chain one. And I'm going to leave a long tail so I am able to weave it in later. All right, so with my color change, I am going to start the next row. Let me tighten that. Let me move the paper towel. All right, I'm gonna make a slip knot. Again, I want a long tail so I can secure that. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna do a quick chain there, and now a single crochet. And as long as it doesn't show through the yarn, I'm gonna just stitch over both of those strands. If I end up seeing it, I'll pull it out and then just weave it in. So I'm going to single crochet in every stitch all the way across, and I will meet you at the end of row 11. All right, so I have finished row 11. I finished that row of single crochet, and unfortunately, my yarn got, I'm going to have to cut this and fasten off. It wasn't what I had intended, but without thinking, I took a set or some of this mauve yarn and I rolled it so it's double strand, which means I have to keep switching. Should have thought about that. I didn't. So 2 strands. I guess I thought it would work, but it's not going to work real well because I have to keep changing the strand. And now I'm going to have 3 ends, not just 2. All right. All right, so I'm just going to hook it on there. I don't, the edges are all going to get a border to finish it off. So I'm not too concerned if I'm going to hook it there and then do my puff stitch. On my puff stitch, I currently have 2 loops on the hook. When I yarn over, there's 4. I'm going to put the hook through the stitch, pull up a stitch. Now I have 6. Yarn over is 8. Pull up a loop. Now I have 10. So I'm going to pull through all of that and chain 1. Skip a stitch and we're going to do it again. So yarn over, skip. This is my next one. pull up here, yarn over, pull up, and then complete the stitch and chain one. My ball of yarn just fell on the floor. I have a feeling my cats are going to take off with it. Skip one. I'm going to do this. Remember, I'll have 10 loops on the hook. I know 2 strands of yarn isn't required. I liked the way it looked where that puff stitch was just a little bit puffier, I think I would say. So I like that. It's just a little bit puffier. It gives it a little more texture. And I am going to do a couple more of these. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through all 10 loops, and chain. And there is another one. Yarn over, I'm going to skip a stitch here. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. That's 10 loops on the hook. Pull through all 10 loops and chain. And I am just going to continue this process until I get to the end of this row. All right, so I am coming to the end of my 12th row. And I'm going to do the last few puff stitches. All right, I have 1 stitch left. I am not going to chain one. But I'm going to end just with a double crochet because it's roughly the same height. Now, because I did the silly thing with my yarn and made this one a double strand, but the other one a single strand, I have to fasten off and cut a tail. Yay, more ends to weave. Okay. All right, I fastened off the 2 strands and I put a slip knot on my hook with 1 strand. And I am going to single crochet across in every puff stitch and every chain. All right, let's do a single. I'm going to carry this 1 strand across. The 2 strands I'm going to have to weave in later. But I'm going to single crochet across over that single strand. So, 1 less to weave in. In every stitch, the puff stitch and the chain 1. And I will meet you at the end of row 13. All right, so here I am at the end of row 13. So I'm going to finish the last couple single crochets. Just have to turn it up so I can see it. And once again, I'm going to chain and cut a long tail. I will be weaving ends in forever, but it's my own fault. All right, now I have a habit of tying off a little too tight, so I like to put my hook in there. Make sure I don't shrink the stitch too much. All right, So now at this point, I am ready to go back to the sandcastle color. All right, so for row 14, I have switched back to the sandcastle color. And I am going to do just a row of half double crochets before I start the repeat again. I'm just gonna do a slip stitch to get that on there. And then I can do a half double crochet. And I think I'm gonna carry a couple pieces of yarn for a few stitches. Yep, I messed that up. All right. I need to do a half double in the same one I did the slip stitch because that's the first stitch. All right, so that feels better. All right, I know some people don't like crocheting over their ends. Sometimes I'll weave ends in, sometimes I crochet over them. It just varies depending on my project, my mood, the different colors. But I am going to half double crochet all the way across. And then for row 15 through 20, we're going to repeat this pattern twice again up on top. So I will be back after I finish this row of half double crochets. All right, so I am coming to the end of row 14, finishing this row of half double crochets. I tightened that too much. All right. All right, so I am coming to the end of row 14. Just have a couple more half double crochets to put in here. It's under there. All right, this one won't be pretty, but honestly, it will be hidden by the border that I'll give it at the end. All right. At this point, I'm going to start the repeat pattern from row number 5, where I did the half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1. And I will just continue from here through the pink until I reach the desired length. When this panel is finished, I will come back and show you the construction. All right, jumping in real quick, I just want to show you an update on this rectangular pattern for my cardigan. The last pattern I did, it worked out for my size. I needed 3 of the dusty mauve sections. So I guess that also means 3 of the sandcastle sections. So I'm getting my 3rd section in the sandcastle color. I'll do one more in, it's called Miss Mauve. And then I will do one final line of single crochet in the dusty mauve. Or Miss Mauve, sorry. And that will be this panel finished, and I'll be ready to begin construction. So planning to come back again when I am ready for construction. Excuse the noise in the background. My kitten is playing with a toy, chasing it around. So, as I mentioned before, I like how when I did double strands for the puff stitch, just gave it, I thought, a little more texture. I liked that. I like the open spots that will allow some airflow with the sweater. And I'm really excited to see how this one turns out and how the whole thing comes together. All right, so I have both of my rectangles finished. Let me see if I can zoom out and you can see, kind of see the length. They are about 60 inches in length. And I think it was almost 15 inches in width. I like to start by putting the right sides together. And I simply determined right side by deciding which part of the pink I liked better. I like this one better, so that's going to be my right side. All right, so it is folded in half. And I ended with a pink strip. And I'll show you on the other one, which I've already sewn up for the up to the sleeve, why I did that here in a bit. I did a cardigan like this once before, and I found I was the most comfortable with a sleeve of about 10 inches. So let me put a stitch marker there. It went through both. So now I am just going to do a very simple stitch up. And then when I get to my stitch marker, I will cut and secure the yarn by going back and forth 3 or 4 times and weave in those ends. Now, why did I put a pink, just one single crochet of pink? Because on the other piece, which I've already sewn up here with for the arm, I wanted to keep this part of the pattern going. Now, I knew from my last cardigan that I probably wanted about 6 inches here. So when I sew it up the back, I am going to stop about right here. I'll know for sure when I get close and I start trying it on. But usually it's about 5 or 6 inches here. So I stopped at 6 inches. So when I sew it up, I can try it out. But it will keep this pattern going because I have a single crochet, the double strand puff, and then on the other rectangle, it will be a single crochet. So that will keep that pattern going all the way around. So as I said, I have this one marked where I am going to stitch it up. Again, I have right sides facing out. I'll be honest, my edges aren't always super straight right here because I'll be honest, there are times I either pull too tight on some of these sections so it pulls in, or I might actually drop a stitch and then have to go add it back a row or 2 later. But I don't worry about that because I am going to put a border along the bottom. So that won't be a huge deal. You won't be able to see it. I'm going to get some yarn and one of my needles, and then I will start stitching this up. All right, so I'm just using double strand of yarn. Just want to make sure it's secure. And reminder, I have right sides together. So not doing anything fancy. I'm just going to go in under, oh, you can't see. Go in under this stitch and through that stitch. And then pull it. This that you see was from the original knot that I made. I ran it through the needle through that to try to secure it. So going in that same exact direction as before. And I don't want to make it super tight because I don't want it to bunch up. I did make the yarn super long because I wanted to make sure I didn't run out midway up the side of the sweater. So I do know I have a huge tail on this yarn, but I wanted to be safe and not have to get a new piece of yarn halfway up and then weave all those extra ends. So I'm going to continue this until I reach that stitch marker I had for where the sleeve is going to start. So I will keep going all the way up to this stitch marker, and then I will cut and weave that end in by going back and forth 3 or 4 times. And then I will come back and talk to you about sewing up the back. All right, so I got the sides sewn up to the sleeves. And now I'm going to sew up the back. In case I didn't go up far enough, I have some extra yarn inside this little kitty chip clip that my best friend gave me. It's so adorable. Even has a little kitty butt on it. But I am going to sew up this, and I should still be on wrong sides together. I like that because you don't really see very much of where I stitch things. And it's just sort of precautionary to make sure you can't see the stitches. I am using double yarn again. I have a knot and a tail, but I'm going to sew that tail in. So if I am on the wrong sides, there's not too much of a concern because it's the wrong side. Oh, he didn't mean for that to pull through. So since I double looped this, I'm just going to take the needle through the 2 loops, which will help hold it in place. And then I will probably stitch over some of this as I work my way up. So I find it tough in the beginning when you have all these ends that I don't want to completely cut yet because I would like to stitch over them. but that's just so many pieces of yarn. All right, so here, I'm gonna put the tail there so I can stitch over. And I'm just gonna keep doing that process all the way up to my little kitty chip clip, and I will be back. All right, so I have the cardigan now sewn up. Here was the sewing up the back, and I wanted it to keep that basic same pattern with the Miss Mauve color. So I was pleased with how that turned out. So now I'm gonna take that Miss Mauve color, excuse me, and I'm gonna single crochet around all of the edges, especially that bottom edge, because it's not completely straight, and I know that, but I can hide that later, so I'm not too worried about it. I will go all the way around, so I can go down the opening around the bottom, over this side, and back up, since it will just be one long thing. So that is what I'm going to start right now, is that single crochet border. All right, so I've started putting just a few stitches for this border around. I still had some of the Miss Mauve in the double strand, so I decided just to use that so I could get rid of it, because I don't want to unwind that and rewind it as a single strand. But I'm just going to single crochet all the way around. There will be spots where you don't see where the stitches are, especially along those edges. And because obviously here we have specific stitches we can crochet into. Here we don't. So that's where you just put them in the best spot you think. So it looks okay. It is truly, just try it out. Because you don't have the nice neat stitches to crochet into, like right here. So I'm gonna go all the way around, and then I will come back and I will talk about the sleeves. All right, so I finished the single crochet border around all of the edges, and I would like a little bit more length on the bottom. So I'm gonna start with some ribbing around it. Sorry, my cat's decided he needs attention at this exact moment. So I'm gonna do a double crochet around it so I can add a ribbing border. It would be fine the way it is, but I would just like a little bit more length on it. So I'm going to start that double crochet and I will be back. All right, I am almost halfway across the bottom edge with this double crochet border. This is actually where I joined it up the back. So I'm going to keep going on that double crochet all the way to the edge, and I'll check the length, and if I need to do another row, I will add another row down so I can get that desired length on the bottom.
school teacher. She'll need formal training. We'll worry about that when the time comes.
What is it, Phoenix? You cannot have my ball of yarn. So I finished one row of the double crochet on the border. I would like it, again, a little bit longer, so I'm going to do another row of double crochet. I thought about doing a front post, back post to give it some ribbing, but I think on this one I'm just going to do double crochet all the way across. So I'm going to continue the second row, and I will be back. All right, so after the border, here is the final product of my sweater. It is just 2 rectangles sewn together, but it doesn't lay like that when you wear it. It does lay like a cardigan. I will try to insert a picture of that, of me wearing it. But I added that border. I was starting to add the border in the last part. When I said I was sewing it up the back until about the last 5 or 6 inches, that's this piece here. So it can come over your neck and around your shoulders. And here is my cat. So if you make this, I hope you found it easy, and I hope you enjoy making it and wearing it.